The end of an era. We had the heartbreaking news recently that Troy Canadian is stepping down as a player from SSG and going to retirement. Now, similar news happened quite recently on my own channel, where I also announced that I'll be stepping down as a player from D2 and I'll be going into content creation full time, which is why we're here. And a lot of people have been saying that this marks the end of an era. The last 30 days, we've seen Easily, previously on Sonics, Slashhog, previously on Oxygen Esports, Pengu, G2 Esports, and now Canadian on SSG. All of these players have been grinding the game for quite some time. In fact, I think we're all past the full year mark at this point. And it's kind of crazy to think about, and I do think that there is some truth to it that an era is ending, but this is exactly where a new era can start. Who's gonna take those players' spots? More importantly, I don't want to say more importantly, but more in the sense of myself and Canadian were big pillar bones in the pro scene. We're both featured in the 2-Minute All documentary. We're both big spokespeople for the pro scene, and we're pretty much the front faces of it. Troy and I even had a rivalry back in the Penta EG days. Who's gonna make those stories now? And that's kind of where I want to go into. Now is the time for new people, for new players, up and coming young gunners to seek their spot and to create their mark on the Siege history. Now this can obviously also be done for current Pro League players that have been grinding for years and years and years and been in Pro League and always fallen short. Maybe they've lost to myself or Canadian on multiple reasons or multiple seasons, and now they feel like they can take our spot. And to be honest, you shouldn't try and take our spot in that regard, right? You shouldn't be like the next Troy Canadian or the next Pengu. You should really try and be the first of yourself. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, because people always make the comparisons such as, oh, I want to be the next Pengu of Siege, or oh, NF is the next Eminem of rap. And it's like, no, Eminem's the GOAT, NF is great, and he is the first of NF. And you know what? I was the first and only Pengu. I didn't want to be the next Shroud, right? And I think a lot of people don't take the pride in that area that they should, because you should never want to purposefully live in someone else's shadow and then afterwards try and break free from said shadow. I think it's important to start your journey by trying to become the best version of yourself as a player and let that speak the truth for you. So I'm not sure exactly what to say. I haven't done much prep for this video, but my respect goes out to the Canadian, Easily, Slashhog, incredible players. Very nice guys, never hurt a fly, always been nice for me, always had a good talks on LAN events, etc. And the great thing about the great thing about everyone's retirement, and myself included, is that each of those players are still in Siege. Easily streaming. Troy Canadian, well, he just stepped down a few days ago, so unsure, but seeing him on a desk, not impossible to imagine. Seeing him coach, not impossible to imagine. Slashhog himself said that he's looking for a management or organizational or coaching position for a team in Siege. He's gonna be around. And myself, well, I'm still here, still stream, still make videos, still talk about the game and everything that's going on. So if anything, let this be a lesson that even though your career might be ending as a player, as long as you build something with the current, during your playing time, there are so many options for you afterwards, whether it's management roles, coaching, casting, streaming, YouTube generation, etc. But it requires you as a player in that moment, in those years of play, to do content, to take interviews, to be a part of something bigger than just yourself and just your own team. And it requires you to take those risks and go out of your comfort zone, and that is what I'm doing still to this day right here. I'm going out of my comfort zone. I never make scripts, I just usually go with the flow and I say what comes to mind, and sometimes it's wrong and sometimes it's right and sometimes it rhymes. But usually it's pretty average and pretty mediocre, and I hope that these videos, while being mediocre as they may be, at least that it shows you that I still care about the Siege scene. I still follow the Siege scene, and I'll still be around in the scene, and so will those guys. So all the new gunners out there who wants to aspire and climb into the ranks of the Pro League, now's your time. There's a lot of shoes to fill, a lot of people to replace, and to be honest, there are some spots on teams right now. It would not be unheard of for someone rather unknown to replace some of those players. So go for it. Climb the ranks, practice, get into scrims, play some Go Force, start playing tier 3, start playing National League if you're European, start playing. Well, NA can't do much. If you're not, if you're North American, don't even try. But if you're European, we got National League, Tier 3 competitions, etc. Great things coming by, so go grind for those guys. And with that being said, the end of one era marks the beginning of a new era. See what happens.